Hey everybody, you'll notice something different today. I am coming to you from my home. Unfortunately, we have a positive COVID case in our family, so we are spending time over the next couple of weeks quarantining together, and we are very lucky. We are feeling good with very little symptoms, if any symptoms at all. We still would welcome your positive thoughts and your prayers. So anyway, I'm recording this for you on my phone from my home. And this week we've been talking about boundaries. In case you've missed any of the earlier ones, I really want you to check them out. You can do that on our website at www.calvaryalex.org. And we've talked about the necessity of having boundaries and how boundaries actually contributes to our lives and our relationships with just a countless value. And it's true that establishing and maintaining boundaries, especially if it's new to you, it's a lot of work. You see, there are all these forces like habits and people who will try to pull you back into old patterns, especially if you are trying to establish new boundaries. There are all these things that are trying to fight against you. I want you to imagine this as a dance, right? And so you and these other people in your life, you've been dancing away for a long time and you're pretty used to it, and it's a comfortable dance, but you're exhausted. You are tired of dancing this dance because you have given more than your share, and giving it just doesn't hold the joy that it used to, and now this dance, it feels like an obligation and commitment. So you have this dance, and in your new understanding of healthy boundaries, you change the dance. You change it on purpose, right? And you're setting these new boundaries and you're changing this dance because you know that it will bring more life to both you and to the other people. But maybe they don't quite get the new dance yet. Maybe they don't understand it. So maybe they resist the dance and they get angry and they try and guilt you and they want to pull you back into the old comfortable way of dancing instead of moving into the new dance. Because that means that they're going to have to acknowledge your new boundaries. And I think that eventually, if you're maintaining your dance, they will change and function in the new boundaries that you have set up. Friends, the holidays are coming up, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and these are great examples of habits and patterns and traditions that might need to change this year for the good of everyone. Let's say you call your mother-in-law and say, hey, we're concerned about coronavirus transmission, so we're going to set a boundary and do things differently this year. There might be a point where they try and pull you back to tradition. They try and pull you back to what's comfortable for them, but even though it might not be good for them or healthy for you as a person, and might get mad, they might minimize your boundary, or they might try and make you feel guilty. But here's the thing, you get to change the dance. It was a couple of years ago, and my husband Ryan and I, we were struggling with family Christmases. We are both the oldest in our families, so we were establishing new territory in both of our families. And it came down to the fact where we felt like we were balancing 4 different families, really. Because I had already had a divorce decree that court mandated some boundaries between our older kids and when their dad Carl would have them and when I would have them. Carl, he grew up Peruvian, his family's Peruvian, and so their tradition was to open Christmas presents on Christmas Eve. And so I always celebrated Christmas on Christmas Day, and so it was an easy thing for us to decide. So I would pick up the kids very early in the morning, or early in the morning, like midnight on Christmas Eve, and then bring them home, and then they would wake up and open presents at our house. So we had Carl's family and we had our family. And our family, we'd open presents in the morning, and then we'd go to church after that at about 10 o'clock, and then we'd head over to my parents' house for lunch. We would sit there and celebrate Christmas with my parents and my siblings, but then we'd have to leave early, and I would disappoint my family. We'd leave early so that we could get in the car and drive over to my in-laws' house so that we could have dinner and celebrate with them. And after all of this was said and done, we'd get home at about 9 o'clock, and tuck the kids in bed, having not played with or enjoyed the presents that we opened at our house 12 hours before, and our house was a mess, and we did this for 2 years. And at the end of the second year, I looked at my husband, Ryan, and I said, Ryan, I hate Christmas. I am exhausted. So it was this time that we decided to hatch a plan for a boundary about how we were going to do Christmas better for us. And we started early, like in January, telling our parents that the next Christmas we wouldn't leave our house. We wouldn't leave our house except to go to church. That they were welcome to come be with us for some or part or all of the day, but that we wouldn't have to do the Hessman and Larson family Christmases on other days other than Christmas Day. And I'll be honest, as we changed this stance, there was resistance and there was some frustration with how we changed from how it had always been. And there was some trying to pull us back into what they had known. But then that next year came and my parents came over early and they chose to have breakfast with us, and they watched the kids open their presents, and then they saved their presents for when we did Hessman Family Christmas on another day in December. And then my in-laws came over in the afternoon and we hung out and we played some games. And it was a slow-paced, wonderful day, and my kids were having so much fun. And that night, as I was cleaning up the kitchen at not an unreasonable hour, my mom called, and she said to me, she said, "Angie, that is the most fun I've had on Christmas for years." She said, "I didn't feel like I had to please everyone, and I just got to enjoy your kids." You see, when we did Larson family Christmases and Hessman family Christmases on separate days, we weren't rushing out to try and go do the next thing. It was slower and more deliberate and way less stressful. Friends, establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries, it can be hard. It can be some of the hardest work that we do, and I want to acknowledge that. But it can also be one of the most rewarding things that you could possibly do. In the book of Mark, chapter 12, Jesus says, "Love your neighbor as yourself." Friends, you have to love yourself in order to love your neighbor, in order to love your spouse, in order to love your kids and your family and your coworkers. Biblically, it's actually a prerequisite to helping others. Thank you so much for joining us this week on the Daily Dose. I want to encourage you to check out the book Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. And if you know someone who could use this message today, somebody who's struggling in this season to set and to keep boundaries, would you do me a favor? Would you go ahead and share this with them? Consider maybe tagging them in this post. If you're somebody who's tuning in on YouTube, would you go ahead and hit subscribe? And if you're joining us on cable access, would you invite someone to join you for watching the Daily Dose next week? Thanks for being with us.
Be the light in the cracks, be the one that's mending the camel's back, slow to anger, quick to laugh, be more heart and less attack. Be the wheels, not the track, be the wanderer that's coming back, leave the past right where it's at, be more heart and less attack. More you take, the less you have, 'cause it's you in the mirror staring back, quick to let go, slow to react, be more heart, less attack, ever growing steadfast, and if need be the one that's in the gap, be the never turning back, twice the heart any man could have. Stuck my head out, I caught the raindrops, I drank the water, I felt my veins pop, I'm nearly sanctified, I'm nearly broken, I'm down the river, I'm near the open, I stuck my head out, I caught the raindrops,
drink the water. I felt my veins pop. I'm nearly sanctified. I'm nearly broken. I'm down the river. I'm near the open. I'm down the river to where I'm going.
The track, be the wonder that's coming back. Leave the past right where it's at. Be more heart and less attack. Be more heart and less attack. Be more heart and less attack.